his house, he comes into contact with someone with a familiar face, played by Ryan Reynolds, who turns out to be the older version of himself, who went back in time for a particular reason. And when they reunite and find each other, and they go on a journey that is just beautifully insane. I feel as time progresses within Hollywood, there seems to be a general negligence in simple storytelling. And what I mean by that, and I think a lot of people might get the wrong impression when I say that, but when I mean simple storytelling, I mean a basic plot or a story that doesn't have so many moving parts. It sticks to the basics, and with the Adam Project, it is a time travel story, and one with a very strong beating heart at its center, and it doesn't try to pretend to be anything but that. And I think found within the simplicity of this story, there is a lot of beauty to be had, and I just had an incredible time. Netflix did send me an early screener to watch this movie about a week ago, and if it wasn't for me being on the Batman hype train for days, seeing it now 3 times, I definitely would have talked about this movie earlier, but it has not left my mind. In certain ways and aspects, I do think about the beauty that this film has, and it really does come down to just how wholesome the story is. And when I think about it, I think about the actors involved. The director, Sean Levy, who we've talked about recently with Free Guy, and let's talk about him just for a little bit. There is a through line between a lot of the films that he's made within the past few years. You have Real Steel back in, I believe, 2011, Free Guy last year, and now this with the Adam Project. All of these movies have pretty decently sized budgets and a lot of CGI and spectacle, whether it be fighting robots, a video game, or futuristic time travel mechanics. But throughout it all, these movies remain to have such a strong emotional crux and center to itself, and it's a beautiful reminder of the things in life that matter the most. And regardless, and if I don't know, when was I, 2011, like 7 or 8, when I was like 7 or 8, I will never forget that feeling of seeing the ending of that movie with Hugh Jackman shadowing Adam. I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. I teared up in the theater, and I still do now. Free Guy getting emotional, now this. And it's the kind of movie where its story and the emotion and everything around it just really sets you in a perfect mood. And I loved it. I really did. And we gotta talk about the performances. We have Mark Ruffalo, Jennifer Garner, and Ryan Reynolds. These actors are A-listers, people that, are just known within the filmmaking community as terrific individuals who have been in massive budgets. That's to be expected. Ryan Reynolds plays the man he is most at and greatest at, which is the comedic, lighthearted, but also emotionally depth-filled performance that he has. But there is one person in this that completely took my breath away. Walker Scobell, who plays the young Adam in this movie, the younger version of Ryan Reynolds' character, was incredible. I think it is a very daunting idea in and of itself to have to play the younger version of one of the most charismatic actors working in Hollywood, period. But Walker felt as if this was taking Ryan Reynolds, dropping him down to his 13-year-old self, and having them act alongside each other. I have no doubt in my mind this kid is going to age so well. His comedic timing is just impeccable. I could not get enough of when they were interacting on screen, and it did feel like the same character going back and forth. It was so good, and it really does play a beautiful role and segues into that emotion, because both Adams, the younger and the older, lost their father. And one of the best aspects about the Adam Project is really how the time gap between each of them when they lost their father has influenced the way that they perceive the father and how they perceive the relationship they had, because Ryan Reynolds doesn't necessarily have as much keen memories as the younger Adam, Walker Scobell, because it's so much fresher in his mind, and there is a little bit of animosity in Ryan Reynolds and the anger that he has, while Walker is just still in that grieving stage. And I'm not trying to get too deep into like how they go about sort of each other of their father. But when it comes to the end, I found myself weeping. I found myself just being felt like I was loved, and a reminder of what it means to be loved. And I have Tomorrowland, one of the most criminally underrated live-action Disney films that shouldn't have flopped, but it sadly did, because this was a celebration of dreamers, of imagination, and in a lot of ways I felt the Adam Project carried those same through lines into this movie. And it just was such a blast. I had a great time, and there's a lot to love. I mean, the fact that this movie was a COVID production, Sean Levy, Ryan Reynolds were just off the heels of Free Guy and jumped straight into this with as strong of a heart and a story that works so well. I had a blast, and it isn't just the emotional weight carried between the father and son dynamic. You have Zoe Saldana and Ryan Reynolds as lovers, and you have incredible action. It is so well choreographed and shot. Mind you, I have to keep reminding that this is a COVID level production, and I think going forward, the movies that we are witnessing have all been just completely crutched by COVID, and that needs to be discussed because movies are an impossible Herculean effort to make on its own. So having something like a pandemic influence a movie, my head just starts thinking about it. But this did it. It executed it in spades. It reminded me of what there is to love about life. It made me want to hug my parents or hug my friends, or if you do watch it, I recommend watching it with a group of people because it is a blast, and maybe you're not the kind of person that wants a strong emotional core to your film. Then they got the action, they got the comedy, they got the levity, they got it all. There's a bit of everything in the Adam Project, and I really hope Netflix starts to finance more of these projects. And Sean Levy, God bless that man's soul. Slightly bittersweet because in my previous video about Uncharted, I talked about how he was one of the strong potential candidates to direct that movie. But I'm glad he kind of didn't, because then I don't think he would have been able to have made this. Yeah, so I guess kind of life works in very mysterious ways. And it was just such a fun time to watch. And don't get me wrong, like, it isn't perfect. Obviously, like, the antagonist of the film is not the best. It's pretty laughably mundane, and with some de-aging effects that were rough. But when you get past that, you really do find that the true core to the center of the movie revolves around the father-son relationship and the Adam-Adam relationship. It's great. It's a celebration of life, love, laughter. Gosh, I sound like a Hallmark card or t-shirt. But I mean it. It put a big grin on my face, and it's the kind of movie that I love to recommend to you guys. I think Ryan Reynolds is a tour de force, and he has like Red Notice, those like action Netflix films, but I also love him because he does things like Free Guy and Adam Project, which have these big budgets but keep a very strong emotional core. So please go check it out. Let me know what you thought. I kind of did a different little angling. It's a little more closer. Let me know what you think. I don't just messing and tinking around with positioning, lighting. So let me know. This is an ever-evolving landscape of YouTube, and you guys have been showing some insurmountable support lately within the last 2 Batman videos, especially the Commissioner Gordon roleplay. God, that means so much to me. I put a lot of effort into that, a lot of research and preparation. So seeing it pay off and be so receptive to you guys, thank you. But yeah, please drop a comment, maybe hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. Big things on the horizon, big things. So stay tuned for that. I love each and every one of you guys. Don't forget to check out the Adam Project March 11th. And as always, remember to take life